If you're not advancing your career as fast as you should be, then this video is probably for you. I'm David Ellis, and what I'm going to present on today is the distilled thoughts from more than 30 years in the engineering consulting practice. But this applies to a lot of folks in terms of any specific skill domain. I'm going to show today, what you need to advance and let you know if you're getting the right skills and experience that you need. Okay, so first off, because I'm an engineer, I have to draw a graph. Okay, so what we've got here today is we're going to be talking about your relative experience and skills in different areas. This is just relative experience here. Are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Or are you an expert in a particular area? And then across here is different stages of your career. So for example, if we look at your career is 7 blocks of time. Initially, as a new grad or quite junior person here, maybe you're a student and you're having some work experience. When you're moving into your career, are you an intermediate person? Are you senior technical or perhaps a principal and executive level? Okay, so I've got 2, 4, I've got 7 gradations here in terms of relative experience levels. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is your core technical area or your core area of practice, whatever that happens to be for your specific. Nobody graduates from post-secondary knowing everything, being an absolute expert in their field. I would say most people graduate about here. And the key is, through your whole career, you are always continuing to learn in your core area. It doesn't matter if you're a video editor, there's always more things to learn. If you're a chemical engineer, there are always more things to learn. Initially, you have a certain amount of knowledge that your professors or instructors, imparted with you, hopefully for you to graduate. And then whether you have an advanced degree, you are moving up this curve as you're gaining more skills and experience. One of the key things, though, is to recognize that there is a secondary set of skills that you typically won't be exposed to until you're in the workplace. These are your secondary skills. I'm going to write these here. Your secondary skills, I'll go back, label easier. Your primary skills. So your secondary skills are all the things they didn't teach you in school that maybe not directly related to your area. So for example, in one of my other videos I talked about, if you're a fisheries biologist, so you graduated studying biology, and maybe you end up having a job supervising part of a construction site, making sure the fish are happy while the workers are installing a new bridge over a creek or river. Well, you're starting to learn things about construction. You're starting to learn about civil engineering. You're starting to learn how things get done. You're also starting to learn about regulations in your area. So whatever domain you're in, say you're in geology, there's specific geology in one part of Canada is a lot different than, say, in some parts of the southern US. So this is your area specific. It could be location or technical field specific areas, different regulations in different countries as well. So your secondary skills, same thing. As soon as you graduate, you are learning your secondary skills as applying what you studied in the real world, and you still need to be learning that through your whole career. The next thing you get to learn as you are working on projects and executing different tasks over several years is what's called project management, how to get things done. So now as we're moving, say, from a junior to perhaps a more intermediate position. So, right, we have, early years, junior, then we're into, intermediate staff. So the key skill you need to be learning as an intermediate staff person is project management. Maybe as a junior person, you are or are not exposed to anything like that. But as you have some experience, pretty soon maybe you start to manage or supervise, the incoming student. Maybe you have some new grads, but as an intermediate person, that's one of the main skills you need to be acquiring is how do you manage projects? How do you actually get things done at work? And so your project management skills, though, they start to level off, at a certain point. Some people specialize in project management and that becomes their core focus. Others add that as their main skill, or others have that as just one of the facets of their skills. Okay, so project management. Right, so project management being a key skill. So if you're not getting project management experience, if you're not helping to supervise or to coach other people, manage projects, what other skills are you getting? So the key skill that we start to build along with project management is coaching and mentoring. Let's see, probably around here, right? Those tend to keep pace as well. In coaching and mentoring, wow, that's super ugly. Don't like these markers for this piece. For coaching and mentoring, that's a skill and practice that will take you through your whole career. It's very hard to get good at that. Everyone can become, okay reasonably quickly, but then to be really, really good, takes a lifetime of actual study and practice. So coaching and mentoring, and that's required to help influence other people, to get them involved, to help you get these projects executed. All of this is great for executing projects. Again, whatever your area of study, whatever you're working on, this is just getting things done and working with other people and teams. Now, to advance your career, though, we have to start talking about business development, how to get sales in, right? And so typically people are, I'll say, about mid-career when they start to get into that aspect. And same thing. Business development. Some people might call it sales. Try a couple extra letters here. Hopefully that fits, right? And this is really an important piece because at the end of the day, if you can't help drive revenue for your organization, your career will always be limited in terms of technical execution stuff. Right? And unfortunately, we've seen through layoffs and pay cuts, people who can just do work but not get work are forever limited, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, they're even expendable. But if you can get work, if you leave, then the organization's ability to get work goes down. So you always want to be in this place where you're able to help bring in sales. And that's whether that's being involved in proposals early on or actually leading a marketing effort and closing the sale, making rain. That's a term you may have heard of. So being a rainmaker in your organization is the way to ensure long-term career success. Because if your boss ever fires you and you can make rain, you can register your own business, open up your own practice in about 24 hours. It's pretty straightforward to do that. So then you're not reliant on your boss anymore. You can make your own rain. So later on in your career, if you're, say, a more senior person, right, and you're interested in what's involved in this next stage of the career, then the things you need to build are starting to be around management. So project management is just managing projects. But this is where you might be starting with, say, office management or regional management. And so I would say that would typically, same thing, pretty steep curve. As I once worked for a company and they use the term business unit manager. So the whole question was, who's going to be the bum this year, right? So business unit management. So that's P&L responsibility, but for a small unit. It could be an office of 5 people, could be a technical practice of 10, or it could be a little bit bigger organization, maybe even 15 to 20, right? So business unit management is an important piece. And so there you're doing things like, what skills are we going to need next? That influences, from your conversations in business development and sales, hopefully you're hearing from customers, what kinds of skills are they looking for? Does your organization have those skills? If not, can you, coach and mentor people in terms of acquiring skills? So professional development, being involved in professional development budgets as part of business unit management. So if you're not exposed to the money, then your ability to advance is always going to be limited, right? So one of the key things to watch out for is, if you're in the solo practitioner, single contributor, or maybe just doing technical work, the question is, are you getting a new experience all the time? Or ultimately, 5 years down the road, do you look back and just say you have 1 year experience 5 times? So by getting additional or incremental experience means being exposed to project management, supervising, coaching, mentoring other people, being involved with business development and sales, and being client facing, contributing to the business unit management and things like budgets and where's the work coming from, how are the budgets being set, what's going to happen next year. And then ultimately, if you continue down that management path, they may be involved up to, say, a principal or a partner level position. And at that point, you're looking at, the greater organization from multiple business units, multiple business lines, different offices, positioned different places around the country or internationally as well. And at that point, that's where you have, folks who build on this regional knowledge. They may be involved early on as a business unit manager person. They may have some exposure to, national budgets. What geographic areas, what cities is business booming and where are things slow? But ultimately, this strategic or executive level, strategic level, right? Right. And that's where you need to be operating at this business unit management area in that domain to have some exposure to the numbers on not just, say, your individual unit, but then as all the units, how do they all play together? So to recap, we have your primary technical skill, typically what you get in school. As soon as you enter the workplace, you start to see how that is applied in practice, different areas, different regulations. For example, people who are involved with pumps, often say mechanical or chemical engineer, one of the things they learn pretty quickly is pumps need electricity. Those wires actually do something. You need that or your pump doesn't work, right? And then from there, as soon as you start doing something that's, a few days out, now you're having to manage, and you're managing small tasks and eventually bigger and bigger tasks, and then whole projects, maybe whole programs. Maybe you're managing a 3-year program. So that would be someone who is in a pretty senior role who likes project management, might be a program manager or a project manager as their career. And this is a key piece. Your entire career can exist in this middle area. It's not required to put up with budgeting headaches and to become an executive or a strategic director of a firm. A lot of people have very happy, fulfilling careers here, and they also have hobbies and things to do outside of work. A lot of folks who have, their hobbies is business, like that is their main interest. They tend to gravitate this way because it's a piece of the puzzle that interests them, right? So project management, as you bring project teams along, your coaching and mentoring skills are really important to help coach and mentor and inspire the people who are working on your projects. Ultimately, you want the best people to want to be on your project. You don't want, when you're asking for help on a project, the room goes quiet and everybody sort of sneaks out the back door. getting exposed to business development and sales, critically important. If you're not facing the clients, if you're not understanding how the money comes in, you will never be able to then understand or even be invited in to see how the business unit operates, where the profit's being made, where the money's being lost, what's going on in that regard. And then out of those ranks, the firm management and executives will pick the next generation of executive and senior level leaders. So in a nutshell, you have a lot of different career options to you, depending on what it is you choose to pursue. So I hope this helps. Thank you. So one question I've had is around the difference between a large versus a small firm. In a large firm, you've got a lot of people filling up these roles, maybe very hierarchical. It's very well spelled out. It may not be transparent to you, but it is well spelled out somewhere in terms of expectations for experience levels or advanced degrees or the amount of revenue generated, amount of rain you can make to advance up this system. So there is some usefulness in being part of a large firm to do that, and it will have those structures. One of the challenges of a large firm, though, is because there's a lot of people in the organization, a lot of them who have been there longer than you, is you may be a little bit slow to get exposed to some of those things. That's where when you reach this, the sweet spot of around between 3 and 8 years experience, you may need to make a diagonal move to an intermediate role at a different company so that you can be sure as part of your negotiation that you're going to have some participation in how your business line is managed or how the financials work, or involved in what kind of projects or what kind of supervisory experiences you may have. A small firm, for example, like with Azura at 5 core technical staff, everybody does everything. So first year out of school, people are looking at the finances, understanding and starting to get exposure to writing proposals, talking to clients, looking at what we pay for rent, what we pay for insurance, and starting to understand, how the money moves in this kind of organization. So the smaller firms will tend to put you into more of these, in terms of more of these categories faster because they have to. And at the same time, you may find, definitely some differences between the larger and smaller firms. That's where being involved with your young professionals group and your classmates and peers, understanding their experiences at different organizations is definitely a key thing you can do to understand the landscape where you're at. Another question we've had is, how do I approach my boss? If it looks like I'm not on this curve or I'm a little bit, if I'm a little bit on the left side of the curve relative to where I want to be, how do I approach my boss and ask for it? And I think the answer to that is, making sure your boss knows that you do have aspirations to grow your career. Well, that's the first thing is you have to ask for it. The second thing is show that you're ready for it. What have you done personally? I've read a book, big fan of books, YouTube videos, TED Talks, podcasts. I am interested in advancing my career. These are the things I have done already to advance my career. These are the skills that I'm looking to actively build. This is what I've already done. So here at Azura, we use the IIIT model, which is initiative, innovativeness, integrity, and trust. So first it starts with your initiative, right? So it's on you to go and to seek out these opportunities, right? And if you don't seek it out, that's your choice. So what do I do if my company doesn't have budget for coaching and mentoring? Well, that's the simplest answer of all. Pay yourself. Right? It's your career. It's for the long term. It's on you to invest in yourself. You invest your time, you invest your money, you invest your mental energy and effort to go do it. Certainly I've worked for companies where I was in these senior meetings and we talked about training budgets. And the answer was, what do we do about our training budgets? Well, the boss's answer was, they're probably going to leave in 3 years. Why bother? Right? So your boss may or may not be your friend. And certainly if they're looking at you as being disposable or expendable, then it's absolutely on you to show your initiative to make sure you get the training yourself. Okay. It's your responsibility. It's your career. You take care of it. All right. So some of the questions we have had have been around coaching and mentoring. So for example, if you don't have opportunities internally within your organization for giving coaching and mentoring to other people, how do you get that? And what about internal versus external? By external means if you're, say, a volunteer, if you're involved in coaching or involved in local theater or local sports. So that's a great opportunity. It's a low stakes. They're typically very happy to receive volunteers. So you can have experience in, again, low stakes reps to get experience talking with student athletes, young people, their parents and other folks around in that community, other coaches. And that gets you into the headspace and the right sort of reps of just talking to other people, talking public, thinking on your feet. Those are all really excellent opportunities to gain coaching and mentoring experience. A great way to both get and give coaching and mentoring experience is through professional organizations. So whether it's your local student chapter or a lot of industry groups, so water environment associations will have a young professionals chapter. Oil and gas sectors will have various affinity groups of like women in clean energy, things of that sort. So those are excellent extra opportunities to go and ask for mentoring and coaching opportunities. At the same time, it's a great opportunity for you to give back and at the same time get practice as a coach or a mentor. And one of the key things is you don't need to be 50 years old to be a coach or a mentor. If you're 4 or 5 years down the path, you have something good to say. You have experience, you have skills, you have examples. You can coach someone who's 5 years more junior or 5 years earlier on in their career than where you're at. So absolutely, if you're only into your profession a few years, you can definitely help new grads, even students. There's a lot of people you can help. Okay. I hope you like this graph and this explanation and this mentoring series that we're doing. Please subscribe if that's useful to you. I've been told apparently my artistic skills are not that good. So if you want a clean version of this, be sure to check in the comments. We'll have a link to a clean version on our website shortly. Thank you.